I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there corrections? Yes, John has been, the cousins will, the cousins will be coming to sit at the little kids' table in the morning. But until then, are there corrections to the minutes from our last meeting? Hearing none, they'll stand as presented. Open forum. This is the time for the public who's not here. If they have any comments or questions to address the board. Since there are none, we'll move on to agenda changes. So they are listed below. We'll take those under new business. And that quickly moves us to presentations. Elementary RTI presentations.
Quickly.
I didn't know if Kimberly would like to do any introduction, or you're just off on your own here.
And now we'll present Jeannie.
Okay.
Process for the elementary.
Nice.
That's a great introduction. So, like I was talking about before when we were talking about goals, really intentionally working with the RTI team to think about how we can reduce the interventions lost because of assessment. So I have a list here that I'm just going to talk through are some of the ideas that we came up with. So the first thing was to reduce the number of students being assessed. So one of the assessments we do is a running record. And I know some of you can give running records and others might not know what it is, but it's where you sit with an individual child and read with them, and as they make mistakes, they're called miscues, and you annotate them. There are a lot of ways to score them, but you're looking to see if it changes the meaning of the reading or not. And so it can take a long time. And so one of the changes is that so the older a student gets, the longer the assessment takes because the passages are much more difficult. You have to keep going until they kind of meet a frustration level. So when we assess fourth graders, once they've hit benchmark, we will not assess them again. So that will reduce the number of fourth graders by about 20%. So that will help with the numbers. Another thing that we thought would be really useful, part of an intervention program for a student, they receive intervention instruction from the teacher, from the reading specialist or the math specialist, but then every 2 weeks we progress monitor. We do a quick reassessment to see if they're making progress so that we can, we're not waiting for the next benchmark to come. So what we're going to do is if the intervention teacher has given a running record within the last 30 days, we're going to use that as the score instead of assessing again. And the same is true for a special ed teacher. If a special ed teacher has given a running record within 30 days for a student, we're going to count that. So training and team. I'm sorry, you're going to hear your name a bunch. We haven't had time to talk about it yet. So one of the things we want to do to kind of become more efficient is to recalibrate everyone again. So the team of people who gives running records, it's a group of about 8 people, and even though they all won't give the assessment at the same time, we want to retrain. So I'm just going to ask for some help to get some LLI people in to just recalibrate the team, and that helps with efficiency. We also want to extend the team to some of our retired teachers. We have 3 people in mind, Kathy Baker, Karen Salino, and Kate Cinco, who have helped us with other assessments in the past. They're very skilled, and we could just get them the training. Karen Salino has already had the training, but that would mean fewer teachers out of the room, and it would move us through students faster. And if we already have set the dates for the year, so we can give them the dates so that they can plan for it. So also reduction of assessment time. This was a big change. So we have always done a baseline right at the beginning of school and then done 3 benchmarks. We have decided to just go with the 3 benchmarks and use the first one as our baseline because we also have the end of the year data from June. So we felt like we adjusted the timing of the assessment schedule, and it also meant that we were making decisions on students earlier in the year. So our first trimester report ended at December. Now our assessment time will end more like November. So if we have students that we really need to get into an intervention or clearly do not need one and is taking up a spot, we can make those adjustments. So also, we talked about some of the normed assessments. One of those is STAR, and for a while we used it in the whole district. The elementary school still finds value in it, and so we do that for reading and math with grades 2, 3, and 4. And when we are doing STAR, the protocol used to be every 2 weeks to do STAR for progress monitoring. But what we've decided is that because it's only a data point used for our data meetings and it's not used for instructional purposes in the classroom, as long as we have 3 times before the data meeting, that's enough to give you a trend line, which makes it valid. So instead of doing every 2 weeks all the way through, so that will reduce some of the assessments. Another biggie that we're going to try, and makes me a little nervous, but it's going to be great. We've decided instead of doing 3 days of data meetings where we do a half a day for each grade level, because we have 6 grade levels, we're going to do it in 2. So, I'm looking at Sarah, because Sarah has looked at it. So, the whole middle of the day was kind of how we covered everyone's preps, lunches, transitions. So what we're going to do with Kimberly's approval is to have a middle of the day data meeting where we provide lunch. You know, we'll get something simple like pizza or something, but then we don't have as many transitions, and we really think we can have a solid 2-hour meeting to get the work done and do it in 2 days. So that reduces probably 7 subs per cycle. So that's a lot fewer subs, which means it will be easier to get, to cover the other 2 days. And it also means that the people who are attending the meetings on that 3rd day will be back to instructing. So, our reading specialists will be back to doing instruction. And the last piece is to help with sub-coverage, which, we've struggled with. I'm going to ask teachers to call people to try to line up subs by the end of September, because we have the dates now. So I have teams who just already do that and have their subs lined up right from the beginning of the year. And then I have people who choose to wait till later, and then we have a hard time filling those. So this year I'm going to give them a deadline to call people. And then if it doesn't work, then we help them. So those are some changes that I think are significantly going to change the amount of time that goes to assessment.
Students miss out on instruction. Well done.
Can I ask a question about the 4th grade when they reach benchmark? When they reach the benchmark? Just curious about if there's any way to identify if there's backsliding that occurs throughout the year.
So it's just one of the data points. So there are several ways that we would know if they were backsliding. And what a running record does is give you a level where they're reading. And so they use those levels every day in the classroom. So a teacher would absolutely know, just anecdotally in the classroom, if they were seeing a slide.
Mm-hmm.
And at any point, we could change our mind about a student if there was a question, and we could do a running record. So I'll report back how it goes.
Great.
Well done, that was a lot of work on the part of
And that team, because I want it was Karen White, Lindsay Merrill, Beth Crozier, Karen Randall, myself, and Leslie Raymond could not be there because she was at PBL training. So she was doing it.
Great, Jeannie, thank you very much. We have no correspondence. Committee reports. Douglas, do you have anything to report on BOCES or the
Yeah.
Central
Actually,
New York School Boards?
I do. BOCES Central New York and a little bit on the rural schools. conference. BOCES are currently working on upgrading all sorts of ADA compliances and will be retraining quite a few staff, also eliminating any non-compliant software, which they haven't have on hand, and aligning policy with the new ADA standards. So the policy committee on which I serve is going to be doing some work this year. We always do. Computer Science for All is part of a national consortium. I think we may have heard a little about it, perhaps. Yes? No? Maybe? One of the leaders in the consortium is a Cornell professor who was instrumental in including us in the initial pilot program. So, all students within the Tcsd BOCES area. So that'll be a lot of fun, I think. At the state level, the Department of Budget is hopefully going to release the funding to fill 41 positions currently unfilled in the Department of Education. We'll see how that goes. And some exciting news, and that is that the 2018 Superintendent Retreat will be held in Ithaca next year. So that'll up the ante a little bit. Rural schools. There was a lot of focus on work-related opportunities for rural kids. I'll only highlight two. The first was a small operational farm with the normal cows, sheep, pigs, goats, horses, etc., and a working maple sugar operation. Participating seniors, of course, had to have their credits for graduation taken care of. And the staff was surprised to find that many of these kids had been problem kids in school. I mean, yes, they got their work done, but they were disruptive. They did not have a single behavioral problem the entire year they were on the farm. They probably didn't have time to get into anything. Yeah. And I said they worked, as I said, they worked with vets, sheared sheep, milked cows and goats, and generally operated a fully functioning farm plus the maple sugar operation. And I must admit, most of these kids were initially from farms and had farming interests. There were a few that it was a first shot for. The second example is a lot of fun. It's from the Wayne Finger Lakes region, where there was a small manufacturing firm having difficulty improving staff production. It just lagged and lagged and lagged. And finally, the school superintendent, who was a friend of the president of the company, mentioned that he had several seniors who had completed all their credits and really needed some sort of a work opportunity experience. So he offered to have them do a performance evaluation on their assembly line. And now those were kids who'd never, done any of that sort of work. But within a week, they'd identified the problem, designed a solution, and production increased by 35%. So needless to say, this company is going to maintain a working relationship with that school district. Central New York is in the process of working with MACNY, and I know I've mentioned it before, but I will remind you again, it's the Manufacturers Association of Central New York. And I lost myself here. Anyway, we are looking at forming partnerships with them so that some of the students in the, again, they have to finish their senior credits, but working with manufacturing firms in the Syracuse area. Right now, I think we are too far from there to really benefit from this, but it's a positive. So that's the news.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
I appreciate it. Our administrative report, Kimberly?
So I just wanted to bring everyone up to date as to where we are right now with the capital planning. And we have been working with our construction manager, architect, Joe Maglioca. And at this point, we have submitted all the documents necessary to State Education Department for review. And Joe Hunt and myself will travel to Albany on August 29th to have a face-to-face interview with State Ed regarding the two projects. And more specifically, we'll be looking at the aidability of those two projects to move forward. And the face-to-face discussion will allow us to talk about various classrooms and which classrooms we believe should get aid in case the state is not in agreement with us. So after our conversation, we're probably looking at a couple of months, maybe 3 months before we get the final feedback from the state, and at that point, we'll bring it back to the board for an open discussion here.
So these aren't projects necessarily, they're really options on proposed capital, the capital project.
It's two options, and we're looking to see how much the state will aid each of those projects to bring back, and then we'll have specific information for the board and for the community in terms of how does that impact the tax rate and so forth.
Questions regarding that? Consent agenda, is there any item on the consent? Oh, I'm sorry, I can understand how that happened. Student report, I apologize, Grace. Summertime, but what do you have to tell us?
There's not too much to report, but I know that a lot of the fall sports preseasons have started, and that's about it.
School, its senior year has started because the sports have started, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of kids around today with practices first time, so.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, thank you, but thank you also for attending tonight. I know probably didn't sign on for summer work when you volunteered for this, but we appreciate it. Thank you. So that does take us to item 11, the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that people would like to hold to discuss? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to accept as presented.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. And that quickly takes us to new business. We are flying through this agenda. We have a reputation here. All right. Under new business, our first item is approval to participate in South Seneca cheerleading program. The Trumansburg School District does not have a JV or varsity cheerleading team and has had one student petition the school to participate in South Seneca School District's cheerleading program. Therefore, the South Seneca School District has agreed to accept the student as a participant in the non-competitive cheerleading program. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves participation in South Seneca cheerleading program. The student will practice with and compete in the same schedule as the South Seneca School District cheerleading team for the 2017-18 season. All transportation will be provided by the parent or guardian. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion of the items? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 12B, approval of additional summer curriculum projects. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education for Williamsburg Central School District hereby approves the additional summer curriculum projects for 2017-18. We have a motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? John, I think this falls under yours.
These are mine, so this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This stemmed from the 2 4-day workshops that we did with project-based learning. Teachers planned out their first project at these days, and there were several teachers, I do anticipate maybe getting a few more, who wanted to use some additional summertime to complete those projects.
Great. Any other questions for Angie? Hearing none? Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 12C, appointments of instructional staff. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, Board of Education for Trumansburg Central School District hereby approves the instructional staff appointments contingent upon successful completion of their fingerprint process as presented. I have a motion.
So move.
Second. Any discussion?
We're
Hearing-
excited to, we've found a person who has a special ed background, who's a special ed certified teacher, who likes numbers, and works well with math.
Whoa!
Say
I am very excited that we found this gentleman, and he is excited to be coming to Truman.
That's really neat.
We'll quickly approve him
So-
then before he.
Thank you.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. There you go, John. You got your new person. Open forum. At this time, we'd like to give district residents an opportunity to ask any questions about this agenda or about operations within the school district. Personnel matters will not be discussed in public session. Comments may be recorded and responded to by the Board of Education or the superintendent at a later date. We ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes or less.
We're just here to hear y'all vote, it's okay.
Okay.
We just had to hear it ourselves.
Okay.
We appreciate the opportunity. Violet has fought very long, very hard for this. And we hope that it is just a first step towards maybe this being a every year thing, so that we can kind of be part of the Titans program just like the boys are.
Great.
Great. We're happy to be supportive.
We have a good season.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
And that then takes us to board forum. We've been together since 10 o'clock this morning, but if there are other items
We're still
that,
talking to each other, so that's a good thing.
that is a good thing, there's no blood drawn. And if there are other topics or comments that people would like to make at this point?
I'm actually just reverse, I wanna make sure that there's somebody else here, I just wanna make sure we specifically, if you had any public
Oh.
comment.
I think so.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Well, I'll make two. I want to thank Jane personally for organizing our retreat today and providing some scrumptious food, especially the dessert. So thank you to that. And to Sarah for the work that she did on personnel matters that relate to supervision. So she put in much time and effort on that, so wanted to thank her for that.
And we can thank you as well, Gary.
Yeah. Window dressing. And if that,
That was a record.
that is a record.
6:22?
6:22, we do need a motion for executive session, matters relating to the appointment or promotion of a particular person. Second? Thank you very much. We're moving to executive session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.